Lightning like Steve McQueen. I'm in the fast lane when the light turns green. And I built tough, I ain't nothing but grit. Cause I made rugged blood, sweat, and spit. Yeah, like a horse I fly. Better push yourself in for a bumpy ride. I like to play hard, but I work harder. And I weather the storm cause I'm built stronger.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back. We are live. It is the Freight Coach Morning Show, the top morning show in transportation, coming to you every single weekday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central, to break down some industry headlines, to provide some actual insight in what you can do with all this information, and most importantly, how you can take this and stay in business. Because it's why I proudly fly that American flag behind me every single day, you guys, because I'm living my American dream, and I want to see each and every one of you be able to live out yours as well. I got a very special guest for you guys today. We're going to break down some of these things about insurance. You guys have seen him on the show before here, but before I bring him on, I got to give a shout out to my friends over at VHub. You guys, vhubapp.com. Trailers, we all need them. Brokers, carriers, shippers, no matter what, we need access to trailers at some point in time. And, you know, especially right now with fuel, which we'll get to, everything's going up out there. And if you're a small fleet, you know, you got 1 or 2 trucks or 5 trucks, you should never have to shut your operation down because you got a trailer in the shop. And with what they're working on, the best part about this, you guys, you get paid to do all of this stuff. So with what they're working right now, Paragould, Arkansas, going to Orting, Washington, just outside of Tacoma, you get paid $15.50 to do that, you guys. That's on top of the revenue that you can get by putting freight in the back of that trailer. They also have Paragould going up to Delta, BC. If you have a Canadian authority, $18.50 US to do that. They also have San Diego, California, going out to Selma, Texas, $750. And San Diego going down to Laredo, Texas, you get paid $600 to do that. And then they also have rentals available right now up in Utica, New York. They have $28 a day for a 2013 drive-in, and they also have $20 a day for a 2006 drive-in. So hit them up, you guys, vhubapp.com. My man Xavier Campos and my friend Stacy Steen, they'll be in the audience. Just let them know that the Freight Coach sent you. They help keep this neon light on for us all day long. Sean, what's up, my dude? Papa Bear in a Chair is back on YouTube today. Good fucking morning to you, sir. Tim Wells, good morning to you. Thanks for joining. Sunny Sharma, good fucking morning to you as well, my man. All right, I'm going to bring him on right now. You guys know him. He's the insurance guy here at the Freight Coach Network. And my friend Cam. What's up, dude? How are you?
What up, brother? I'm so good, man. Thanks for having me on. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I like the home studio that you got. I like the purple light in the background.
I appreciate it. I nerd out sometimes and start buying things just on Amazon Day, I think was yesterday or something like that. So then you just go on a craze and start clicking send and boxes show up.
Oh, great. So that's why my wife was oddly quiet last night. She was buying shit. What she's telling me is I got about 87 fucking Amazon packages about to show up to my house today. Awesome.
Oh, man. COVID on steroids. I swear all you did was shop from home. That's what my wife did. So I feel you.
Dude, it is. Hold my beer, TJ Knudsen. What's up, brother? Good to see you out here, man. Dan, what's up? I'm out here from the road, dude. I love Dan Rowe. You guys got to follow him if you guys aren't following Dan. Erica Hamilton, good morning to you. Pat Green, what's up, dude? Good to hear from you. Good to see you. Dude, you see fuel jumped up 38 cents overnight?
Dude.
5.22 a gallon.
I thought we were out of summer pricing. I thought that was coming back down for the season.
Well, according to certain officials, that they had everything to do with it going down, but I don't know, man. I think this is the effects, dude, because like OPEC cut 2 million barrels last week to us. This is the effects of it, man. And, you know, again, I don't hide my opinions on this, man. This is why we literally shouldn't have any foreign dependence on oil or anything at all like this. Like, we need to be fully independent, and we export and do all of that and trade because we can, not because we have to. I think there's a big difference out there, and there's a big lapse in the messaging that's out there. I'm all about global trade and doing that, but like, it shouldn't be because we have to. It should be because like we're choosing
to and want to. Yeah, that's a significant cut into the percentages that these guys are trying to run on margins, man. Especially the small shops that don't have these aggressive cards, like the fuel cards and stuff. Yeah, and that's a big deal. And then I feel like that's what forces some of these guys out of business to go back and lease on to someone, just because like they're just getting chopped down on all fronts. So yeah, that's brutal. I hope this thing doesn't last long for that.
Dude, I'm right there with you, man. And to me, it's like, it's just so, dude, you're a business owner. You get it. There's just certain things that hit And it's just so fucking deflating, like you're trying so hard and there's so many things that are outside of your control. Cause like I personally think the hardest part about going into business for yourself is the mental battle. You got to win the war with yourself. That's going to be the most challenging battle. And it's like, there's so many things that happen out there on the road for these drivers in these small fleets that, if they don't have a fuel card that gets them massive discounts and everything else, like it's a fucking huge kick in the gut.
Yep. Yeah. It's brutal, especially these guys that maybe weren't super educated coming in on business savvy and just understanding their numbers, understanding the profitability, how to run profitable, how to kind of plan for the seasons, if you will. It's a major eye opener for some. I know that not to be downer, but just for personal clients, I had 50 accounts last year literally go out of business that I work with. And that was huge. Like that to me was like mind boggling. How can that many people decide to go out of business? They're all good health. And like, it was a business decision for them for the most part. But man, they shut their doors or leased on or sold everything or retired. A lot of folks were close to retirement and this just kind of pushed them into it, I think is what happened. But
well, dude, that's the thing is it's like, I think everybody reaches that. I know I've reached that point in my life with certain things where it was just like, man, it's just like, fuck it, and I'm sick and tired of all the bullshit. It was kind of the reason why my dad sold off his trucks and just drove for himself. Cause he was like, I'm just sick. I can't fucking deal with all the other stuff. He'd be out on the road. He'd come home. He'd be working on his other trucks for the 3 or 4 days he was home. And then he'd be back out on the road again. And, he had some shit happen. And then he was just like, it's easier to drive for myself. He's like, he just had his truck and trailer. And he's like, I'm just going to fucking deal with me.
I hear that a lot. There's a lot of guys that were fleets and aspiring entrepreneurs. And then I talk to them now and they're like, nah, you adding trucks? Do you want to grow? Like, what's the plan? What do I need to help you with? They're like, fuck no, man. I just want to stay by myself and do my own thing. And that's what I'm doing. Like, all right, sounds good. Let's go.
That's funny. Rodney Bell, good morning. Let's get it, my man. Aaron, holy hell. Good to see you. It's been a while. Julia, what's up, Ed? Another Wednesday. Happy hump day, LinkedIn fan. Dude, so we're going to break down some articles here. Obviously, you guys, when Cam comes on the show, he's the insurance guy. Like I go to Cam for all of my insurance questions, everything out there, because, like there's a lot. And I put my, a post out there this morning about this, about knowing there's a big difference between, knowing your coverages and thinking what your coverages actually stand for. Because we see this all the time. Yeah, dude, Chad, I'm sorry, bro. We were just talking about that. I do get all of that information from the EIA, EIA.gov. Sorry, Chad. Just order some Chick-fil-A, man. You'll feel all right. But yeah, dude, because I put a post out there this morning because I've dealt with this in my career and I know I've came to you about specific questions because it's like, the insurance piece. And I brought it up in my video today about reefer insurance, for example, and how most of the time it covers, if the reefer actually breaks down, not if there's an error in putting the temperature in and like how insurance companies can deny that claim and stuff.
Yeah, some of them for sure. And the policy. So, kind of goes back to not all policies are created equal and the cheapest insurance isn't always the best. And then when something happens and you're like looking to, your corner, your insurance company agent, whatever you ended up doing, the crazy thing to me is you can buy your own insurance online through some of these carriers and vendors and you don't know what you're buying. You just click buttons and you know that this makes it $4,000 cheaper. This makes it a couple thousand cheaper. And the trucker's like, great, looks all the same to me. All the numbers look the same, but in reality, it's not. And so that's where I think asking the right questions to your insurance representative, your agent, your insurance company, or whoever you're dealing with, asking your freight brokers, hey, what companies do you like dealing with in claims? That's been a huge thing for me too. Is so like if I'm coming up against, for example, I'm a huge advocate of Great West. They're probably my, I'll just put it out there, probably one of my favorite companies to work with and partner with that I work with. And a lot of brokers, you tell them that, or like you send over the certificate that they're with them. It's like, it's a green light. It's a pass a lot of the time because they've dealt with Great West and they're just phenomenal at what they do. And they cover, there's certain situations. And obviously in a claim, it's boils down to the specifics of what happened, but they will not just deny you based on that. Like they're looking for ways to cover you. Their policy form does not exclude driver error, which is kind of what you're referencing, where you're right. A lot of these other companies say, oh, was it a result of the breakdown of the reefer unit? Nope, no coverage. You know, you're left holding that bag, whatever that cost is. So
no, definitely. And again, it's looking into a lot of this stuff. What does it mean about if so, like, okay, I know the answer to this, but I understand not everybody will. Why should brokers be listed as a certificate holder on an insurance policy? Why should the brokers be calling an insurance company to verify?
I really think the main one, and it's funny because I just chatted with a couple freight brokers, and one of them just popped a scenario to me. And in fact, I think that's what landed him in my lap. So I do work with freight brokers as well on the insurance piece and doing the bonds and stuff. He went online, checked FMCSA, you know, looked like it was good. Hey, the guy's insurance looks like it's good. Got a certificate. And at the time the certificate was issued, he had coverage and had insurance in place. Something happened though, where he ran up on a deadline, didn't make his payment. The guys, I think the load got delayed out a couple of days. I don't know the exact sequence, but gist of the story is insurance canceled. The guy picks up the load, ends up moving off a dock. Forklift was still kind of in between, fell down. Someone got hurt. And all of a sudden, boom, there's no coverage from the carrier's point of view because there's no coverage. The guy's insurance canceled. Yeah. So a lot of the importance is getting those certificates, especially at the time of, and either from like a certificate portal link. Like we have a online portal where our truckers can issue their own certs like real time. Yeah. And so like if it's live and there's a, you know, a cert that's coming out, then in our system and FMCSA, the policy will show active. So you're never going to get a certificate on a policy that's canceled. That's probably the main thing, is just for the double checking that, hey, there actually is coverage in force. The beauty of trucking is though, there's filings, you know, they're required to carry insurance. And even if they don't pay, I mean, you have to really mess up. Like you got like a 35-day window of coverage that still extends until the policy cancels.
Yeah, so. I gotcha. No, again, I appreciate that information because again, I think it's always valuable for people to hear about all of that stuff for sure.
Due diligence. That's what it is. I guess the easy answer.
and that's my big thing, Cam, is I just want people to do that. And, you know, whether it's the carrier rep who's booking the load or if they have a compliance department, and I know most compliance departments do this, is they are calling the insurance carrier. They are verifying that, hey, this is the real coverage. This is what is covered under this policy. We're all good to go. Because again, like if you skip these steps, like insurance companies aren't your friend. Like they're not going to be like, you know, if you're like, oh, sorry, I forgot to ask if this was a thing, they're going to be like, it's on you. And, you know, to me, it's just one of those situations that take the 5 seconds on the front end, because that's what it boils down to, you guys. Yeah. Take the 5 fucking seconds and verify this information, because if you don't, people don't care you had a bad day. I hate to break it to you. That's how the real world works. They don't give a shit. And you need to protect your organization, most importantly. Aaron has a question. Do you cover or do you handle LTL insurance?
We've got, depending on what state, there's a couple of states that we don't operate in, New York being one, Mass being one. And then depending on the situation that you're in, it's worth a conversation. But yeah, we can handle it. We handle all lines of coverage, from work comp to OCAC to like kind of everything in between. There's some coverages that people ask for, like passenger insurance and things like that, that we typically don't get involved in. A lot of the associations have solid policies and plans they put in place for those. So we won't touch it if it doesn't make sense, but I'll give you advice and at least read what you got and tell you you're good or no, I can help you. So if I can't, I try to get you somewhere that they can help you. So
perfect. Lewis, what's up, my man? Fight, grind, repeat. Dan, the driver, said he sold off his trucks in 94 and haven't worked since. I was 8 years old in 94. Let me see here. $1,200 per day PO, home every day, 7 to 4. Love it, man.
Hey, kudos, man.
Let's see here. Let's break down this first article. This one is from TT News. Title is ATRI Study Outlines Link Between Traffic Violations and Unsafe Driving. Previous behavior continues to be an important predictor, of whether a truck driver is likely to be involved in a crash, with certain violations holding more significance than other. The 2022 update of the groups predicting predicting track crash involvement research study, also found that female drivers generally exhibit better safety performance than men. That's not surprising. And include a list of states with best safety records. My
Hey,
wife.
did you see number 1 on there, by the way?
Oh, the safest states, Washington. There we go.
Give it up for Washington.
Yeah, my wife wasn't brought up with the hold my beer, watch this shit mentality like I was back in Wisconsin. But anyways, that's not have anything to do with the article here. The report, which is based on data 580,000 individual driver records, found that commercial truck drivers who committed any of the following: a failure to yield to a yield right-of-way violation, a failure to use or improper signal violation, or have reckless driving violations, are more than 100% more likely to have an accident than drivers who are not committed the same violation. I don't know how it makes it more than 100% more likely, but hey, I went to public school. So dude, that's nuts though. Like that. So what I'm seeing is if they're failing to yield to a right of way, they don't use their lights at all, their turn signals, four ways, anything. And I mean, reckless driving seems pretty broad.
I think reckless driving gets assigned based on a lot of different violations, but I think the gist of it is, and a shout out to Atri too. I actually had Rebecca on my podcast, and I think what they do for the industry is super valuable. And I mean, they're operating from, statistics, which I know, statistics can be changed one way or another, but they are for truckers. Like they're trying to make change. They're trying to shed light on issues. They're trying to educate, and they're trying to kind of progress the industry. So shout out to Atri for that. But it's a big thing that I talk about and I coach on with my clients. And like when they're trying to hire drivers, especially in this environment where there's not a ton of drivers available, there's not a surplus of people at your doors with 2 years experience and clean driving records. And like they have a ton of experience in what you're hauling. So people start to take chances. And so what I recommend, and like I coach my folks on, is do like your PSP, have them do a drive test, get a copy of their motor vehicle report, review those things and like listen to them, because if they have a failure to yield, that they're not aware of their surroundings, or they're not letting the folks around them know of what they're going to do or their intention is. And so they're going to crash, right? They're leaving space on the right lane or whatever the cause is, or, who knows what those issues are. Cell phones, the handheld device thing is a huge one. I mean, that's a huge red flag. Yeah. Speeding. I'm surprised speeding wasn't mentioned on there, because I feel like speeding is like the number one cause of accidents, if I'm being honest. But yeah. But I understand what the report was doing. It's basically like just trying to shed light on the past is a good indicator of the future, and it will predict what this driver is going to do and how they operate. So
no, definitely. And I mean, like, again, this is one of those articles, you guys, that I really want you to read, because there is a ton of solid statistics in here. And then the full report can actually be found at truckingresearch.org on this, because again, it's like they're what was it out there? Having a science-based model for predicting crashes is one of the most important tools in the trucking industry can have. And Atri's Crash Predictor research allows carriers to target and monitor those truck drivers' behaviors that matter most. While truck crash is increasing, there is no better time to have this data in our hands. And that's the thing is because it was started in 2005 and it was updated in 2011 and also back again in 2018. And identify statistically significant relationships between the behaviors and future crash probabilities, to your point there. And again, it's like, is it always going to be 100% certain? No, but I would also argue that past behaviors definitely predict how you will act in the future if you don't make a change. Not saying that people can't change, not saying that if they've always been a shitty driver, they're going to continue to be a shitty driver. But I also feel that you need something to happen before most people change their ways.
Well, I think it's just be aware, because like if this driver needs a little bit further education or training, we offer our clients like a driver training that's it's all based on their phone. Like it comes there in the form of a video with a quick test. It's very short because driver attention spans are like squirrels, right? So like they're not going to sit there and do this college course on safety. We don't expect them to. Who else uses data science to rate and like predict? Insurance companies. From a kid, hey, hold my bear, I'm gonna go break these tires loose and go fuck some shit up. Like your rate's going up. Like I got a ticket. What do you think? My insurance cost is going up every time, right? So That's why they look at it. So
no, I get it, man. It's it's interesting to see states. So this is what's wild to me is states with truck crashes that decreased were all cold weather snow states.
yeah.
Alaska, North Dakota, Vermont, Wyoming. And yeah, that's interesting. I wonder. No, I can't say that. I was looking at the safest states. I'm shocked that fucking California is on that list.
So I saw that too, and I was like, I don't know about all that. Like that threw me as well because I thought California, among Texas, among some of those other ones, East Coast actually I think probably takes the cake for most of those. But I was surprised too when I saw that.
Yeah, dude, that is what. Oh, hold on one second. There we go. Yeah, man, that article is from ttnews.com. And ATRI study outlines link between traffic violations and unsafe driving. And FreightWaves also put out another article on this, you guys. And the title of that one was "A Trucker Who Crashes Once Is at a High Risk for Another." They broke down some other solid data points in there as well. And that's why I included it in there is they talked about the driver behavior based off of the years of like when things were upgraded in the study itself. We're not going to go into everything that they had said in this article because it's a lot of the exact same information, but it breaks it down in a different manner. So again, I thought it was just valuable to put that out there. And yeah, you guys, as always, every single article that we do break down, the links are put up on the Freight Coach YouTube replay for the video, and then on the Coffee with the Freight Coach audio only podcast replay. All the links are in there, you guys. Again, do your research. Please do your research and find this information out, especially when it boils down to insurance, you guys. Like, there's so many little things that I think that are the biggest separators out there. Your ability to cover freight isn't a fucking value add. All right. Your ability to operate and handle issues, that's where the real value is. That's the secret sauce in this industry. Last article that we're going to break down, you guys, is from the JOC. This one was written by my friend Bill Cassidy. International logistics providers target U.S. trucking. DB Schenker, because this was the talking point in here, is how they completed its $435 million acquisition of USA Truck in September, because they had a big hole in their North American offering, and that was trucking. The trucking portion of our European operation costs about 7.5 billion, does about 7.5 billion euro in revenue a year. USA Truck was much smaller than that, pulling in 770 million. And 441 million of that was over the road trucking revenue. And, it talks about how them and then Maersk also has acquired a string of U.S. companies in pursuit of an end-to-end integrated logistics offering, and how Maersk bought Pilot Freight Services for 1.6 billion. The Austria-based forwarder Berger Logistic in September acquired Idaho-based trucking company Super T Transport, a 216 truck carrier. Now, what I'm interested to see is it's like, because they talk about evidence of Robinson and FedEx obviously acquiring companies in Europe and Asia. Do you think that this is kind of more of a response of, hey, you guys are fucking stepping on our territory, we're going to come in and try and buy up your territory? Because they're talking about the end-to-end solution. And I think that if you're going to compete on a global scale, like, why wouldn't you have everything in-house?
I think it makes sense, or at least strategic partnerships, maybe not a complete acquisition where they gain complete control, but an investment in to ensure like the last mile, right? They're trying to get the full loop covered in their little sphere of income there. So it makes sense to me, but I mean, we have control over that, but that's also pocket change to them. It sounds like, cause they're moving, but billions of revenue where we're in the millions. So they're probably like, it's pocket change. And our guys are like, nearing retirement, or it makes sense. And like, all right, yep, we'll sell to that. Here you go. So
yeah. And at the end of the day, I just think that to me, it's a lot. Obviously it's a lot of assets. They need them. I think it's easier at times, because I've been thinking about this a lot recently, Cam, as I've, been growing in business. Again, I don't have fucking barely anything figured out. I'm not that far into it, but I'm also looking at down the future of acquisitions of my own and stuff of, hey, how am I going to grow and scale my company? Is it going to be through acquisitions? Why do you acquire a company? Like, I'm a nerd and I research this stuff. And some of the research that I found is it is cheaper overall to buy an existing company and implement your processes in it than it is to try and build it up on your own from a capital perspective. But a lot of these companies, what you're seeing is they already have everything in place. It's just in Europe. So they're essentially coming. It's not like they're buying it. It's a foreign industry to them. It's just like, no, we're already doing this. It's just over in Europe. And now we're just going to come over and implement it. And especially if you're looking at it from a, hey, if I was to buy 200 trucks over the last 2 years, is that even a viable option? And I think that's why a company like Warner, it was last week, they just purchased another, again, Warner's, I don't even know how many trucks Warner has. I'm assuming well over 5,000 in their fleet, but they acquired a 200 truckload regional carrier. And I'm like, at first I was like, wow, that's fucking interesting. What does 200 trucks and 900 trailers do? But then I'm like, they probably went to all their OEMs, and their OEMs, that 200 trucks was going to get them to what their allotted OEM purchase probably would have been in a normal year. So like, fuck it, we're just going to buy one, and then we're just going to take over the market a little bit that way.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. And that's exactly it. You, once you're established and you got your processes, and let's say you're a little bit more of a vet in the game, they understand what they want to do. They've already have a proven track record. And you're right. I think acquisition on chunks of revenue or relationships or whatever they're buying, regional in that case, makes sense in that. It's a strategy. I think it's a strategy everyone should be mindful of and consider. And on the flip side of that, I think, and probably to you when you're coaching clients, you want to be appealing in the sense of, if you want to sell or have an exit strategy, you got to run your company in a certain way that makes sense for someone to come in and buy you as well. You can't be the company. And if you leave, the company fails, like that's something that people have to be mindful of. Right. So.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And then the article kind of finishes up around how Schenker is going to be looking for more transloading facilities, ports, airports, borders, everything else. So I personally, I love reading this stuff because, again, it's like, how do companies get, I kind of nerd out on these things. It's like, it's interesting to see, that's what they're looking to kind of expand out their operations. And that's what they're seeing. And again, I think it's a lot of it is it didn't matter. And I think a lot of large corporations saw this is it didn't matter how big you were. There just wasn't any space available. And they were like, fuck it. We're just going to buy it. We're not going to be told no. We'll just buy the shit out, and then we'll never have to deal with this stuff ever again.
Yeah. I don't read. I just come here for my news. I just watch your show every day. So
yeah,
I'm pretty sure,
I'm assuming the boardroom didn't explain it like that. Fuck it. If we're not going to be able to, we're just going to build it and buy it ourselves. Although it might. My boardrooms will always sound like that. That article is from the JOC. You guys, international logistics providers targeting U.S. trucking. And yeah, dude, I think with everything coming up here at the end of the year, what's one piece of advice you could give out there coming up? I think obviously it's snow season coming up. How are you with that?
I think that's all kind of the generic things that you hear. And as a safety manager and stuff, you're going to be talking to your drivers, especially if they're on new routes or newer to a region or going on to a new region with passes and stuff like that. But I think it's just be mindful, ask the right questions, and think of insurance as protecting your asset and protecting your liabilities, and just not settling for the cheapest thing. I mean, unfortunately, the commercials and commoditization of everything, people think, hey, cheap, or I want to save money, especially when they're getting, crushed on these gas prices. Insurance is right up there. It's a big item in their budget and their line item. So get value out of it. Ask the right questions. What is your insurance company or agent doing for you? What value are they bringing? There's certain things coverage wise that I think they just need to be mindful of and just understand what they're buying, because nobody does. A lot don't. There's a few that do, but most have no idea what they just purchased. They'll find out in a claim though. Then they'll find out what they bought. So
yeah, no, absolutely. I am 1000% of that mindset. Is I would rather have more insurance than I need, because you don't
better. I would say the right insurance.
Yeah, the right
insurance for what you do. Right. Yes.
You can word that better than me. But yeah, that's exactly what I mean. Cam, how does anybody reach out to you to find out more? He's obviously with Value Trucking Insurance. He's on LinkedIn and and everything else. And you got a podcast as well, right?
Yep. Get a load of this trucking podcast. So actually we put out a lot of great content on that too. It's not insurance though. So anyone listening, it's just trucking industry. In fact, I had Chris on here a while back, and I just try to bring people that are doing things in the industry and making trucking better, or trying to, and they're on the right mission and they align with us. That's who we're talking to and talking about. So don't think like, I'm going to go listen to insurance talk, because your ass would be falling asleep real quick if that's what it was. So that's not what it's about. But anyways, valleytruckandinsurance.com, LinkedIn, Facebook, Cameron at valleytruckandinsurance.com. You can email me and reach out, or hit up my guy Chris here. He got my cell phone, so he can make an introduction if need be. So
exactly. Dare we say make trucking great again?
Dare we?
Dare we?
I'm just kidding. Trucking's the greatest industry God created, and it's what makes America move, man. Let's go.
It's the greatest industry on earth.
Yes.
Well, that's it for today, you guys. Freight Coach Morning Show. We're the top morning show in transportation. If you saw value in this, you guys share the show. That's all I can ask. If you see value in it, you guys, your network's going to see value in it as well. I appreciate you guys all so much.